As entrepreneurs, we all have a reason why we chose to leave our 9 to 5 for an 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'm here to capture the stories of why we all hustle and grind for our companies. Trevor Nolan Bower, somebody that previously had a complete mistrust in the supplement industry, now helps people reach their fitness goals with the right information, community, and supplements. He owns AdvancedSups.com, a retailer for vitamin and supplements in Central PA. Over 9 years, he's fostered a community of over 10,000 people and has supplements on the shelves of retailers around the world. So, Trevor, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really, really appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andrew.
Anytime. So you're in a space that I have a lot of opinions on. And it's something that through a healthcare journey and just in life in general and wanting to come up with the most optimized version of my body or making my body work in an optimized way. The supplement industry is something that there's a lot out there. And so what I want you to do, just go into like a little bit about your background. I want to hear what you do. What's your ninja skill in the supplement industry and what makes you different than ever and other people in that industry?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to look at the supplement industry in good and bad ways. Um, you know, it's really about finding what makes your body feel good, which is, I think, what you already alluded to. There is the misconception that supplements are to disguise or make a quick fix or, just load your body with chemicals to try to get some kind of, aesthetic pleasing look, and it's doing damage to you internally. I'm very much a proponent of supplements helping you to feel good and using supplements to get your performance, your sleep, your nutrition, your fitness, all to a better level naturally. And I think what's really been great for me is being in this business for 9 years. I started working with manufacturers about 7 years ago to make our own products because having a retail store, I was tied to what products were already out there in the market. And I wanted better for my customers. I saw the products had, their uses, but I knew we could do better. By working with manufacturers myself, I'm able to completely control the formulas. I'm able to make sure that I'm using higher quality ingredients, higher quality formulas, better doses, and I can make a 2-in-1 kind of product, a 3-in-1 kind of product. So you're getting a lot more value and better performance from the product than you would otherwise. And I'm just very much about having the best product and the value for what's for you and what's going to help you and your goals. I know like some kind of corporate chains, when you go in there asking for recommendations, they give you a huge list of, oh, these are all the things that you need. And I'd much rather just have a conversation with you and then help you find what's going to value and help you the most. It's very much about communication and transparency for me.
Okay, interesting. Now, how did you get into this? Like, what was the backstory behind, I need to go do supplements? What happened?
That didn't happen at all. That was not a conscious decision for me to get into this business. I was very hyper focused on, my getting into shape in college. Pretty much as soon as I had a car. In high school, like I started running, I tried to eat better. And it took a long time for me. I didn't know if it was just my body's genetics or am I doing something wrong? So it became really frustrating. And I started going around supplement store to supplement store asking people for advice. And I got a lot of conflicting information. Everyone tells you something different. Everybody's just telling you based off of their experience, right? And if you have good genetics and you go to the gym and your strength is consistently going up and you're consistently getting results, and you might even have not even the best diet or the best training routine, and you're seeing good results, then it seems easy to you, and it's easy to tell someone else that they can get the same or similar results doing the same things you are. I understand how people can believe that they're giving the right advice. So no malintention. However, I've worked with thousands of people, and I've been able to see that everyone is different, right? So that is something that's really helped me over time, is seeing like, okay, some people, they're gonna make progress a lot faster, some are gonna, make progress slower. And I am never one that's going to guarantee you results. I tell you that I have the best product for this and it can help you in these ways, but everybody's body is different. So there's a lot of trial and error. But anyways, going back to my college days, I built relationships with some of these store managers, and I ended up um, being in a situation where two of these store managers decided they wanted to open their own mom and pop supplement store. And I got involved with them to help them with their website and their marketing. That was the stuff that I was doing straight out of college, was online marketing and web design, and thought I could bring value to them by having someone internally do that stuff, which is, I believe always better if you're doing it from the inside than hiring someone that doesn't really know your business. So I got involved in that way. And in the first 2.5 years, neither one of my business partners were still in the business anymore. Things just didn't work out for the three of us. And at that point, I was pretty much on my own in this business. So I didn't set out to necessarily be in this business. I wasn't even one of the two founders that decided to open the business, but I was there from day one. And had been doing all of our branding and marketing and being a part of what products are we carrying and hearing the customers' feedback. And I just took everything very seriously, to the point of like, I know that I can do big things in this industry. Not necessarily, I'm not out there to have the biggest name or the biggest business or anything like that, or sell the most pre-workout, but I can make an impact on people individually. And I think the quality of those impacts that you make is much more important than the quantity of it. So in 2018, when I was on the business started in 2015, May of 2015. By 2018, I was by myself in this business. And that's when I determined, every decision that I make is going to be one that my customers and my employees would want me to make. I'm not going to make any decisions based off of bottom line financials. Whatever the community believes is right is where I'm going to go. And I just kind of have been following my heart and my passion the past 7 years since then, with everything that we've done.
So I'm kind of curious about that. So where did that come from? Because it's not usually, it's something that's sort of a buzzword right now, but it's not something you see very often, where it's more of a, you have a CEO that's driven by more of a consensus than by, just solely bottom line. Where did that come from you? Like, where did it spring from?
I grew up in a family business. My family owns bowling centers. My dad was a role model to me. And growing up in that business, you see all of your, customers are community members, right? They all know you. A lot more people have known me growing up, and I never even knew them because they knew my family. And I always felt like my family had a reputation and in the community. And I think that has translated into, I feel like there is a high regard for the reputation that I have. And I always want to make sure that everyone is on board with the things that I'm doing, and that, I am carrying myself to the highest regard and reputation I can for not only this business, but for the industry. I know we can do better than what the industry does. So I want to continue, moving on that path.
Interesting. So I want to go back to a little bit about kind of the supplements. And I know I think every single person, I think my mother has a supplement line. I think a lot of folks have them. What are some of
Yeah.
the things, like specifically, that you looked for in a supplement line? Like what are some of the, what to you is something that you would personally choose over another supplement?
Yeah. So it is sometimes difficult to know what is a better product. if you're just the average consumer looking at two products on the shelf, your best gauge sometimes is just the label and how pretty the label is and what claims it makes and the price. And that's unfortunate because neither the price nor the label or the claims it makes really can dictate how good the product is. It really comes down to what is in it, what are the doses, and there's a lot of shortcuts made with products. Sometimes when brands bring out products, they're bringing it out because there's a demand for that kind of product. Say COVID, for instance, all these immune support products came out. None of them were better than what already existed. And it's like, well, you're not solving an issue. I thought that was kind of frustrating to see all of these immune support products coming out, none of them improving upon previous renditions or versions that were already on the market. To me, why bring out a new product if it's not anything better than what's already out there? But I think it's a lot of just marketing companies, a lot of VC backed brands. They see an opportunity, they cling on it. Their goal is to make it create a demand for it and make it sound appealing, and they're going to use whatever claims or marketing jargon they can to make it sound appealing. But it really all comes down to the formula. How well the product works always comes down to the formula. And sometimes it's better to just kind of simplify things and see if the formula has all the doses listed out. Look for the things that maybe you don't know the dose of zinc that you want, but maybe that if there's 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, that's pretty solid, especially if it's a complex. Most complexes just have a sprinkle of this, a sprinkle of that, and that's the entire formula. So just saying that it has this in here and that's proven to do this doesn't mean that the doses are in there are going to be effective in doing that. And that's what makes this industry really difficult. Unless you really know a lot of the tricks and the insides of it's really easy to get kind of caught off guard with the quality of the product that you might be taking.
And I think that's one of the things that's hard for the standard layman is that a lot of the things that we're talking about, like L-theanine is one that I take quite a bit of, and there's no recommendation for it. Like, do I take 20 milligrams? Do I take 500 milligrams? Do I take this? It's hard to get that dosing right and hard to get these right. And it's like you said with, blends, sometimes here's my proprietary blend, here's the things that are in it, but we don't know what the ratios are. But the other part is what sort of resources? I know there's also some legal, if I'm correct on this, there's also some legal considerations, meaning that there's only so many things you can say. The FDA, because it's an unregulated product, the FDA doesn't allow you to say too much more about it. But I'd be curious to hear about, like, as a layman, I'm going out, I'm trying to find something. I have X, Y, and Z problem, and I need to be able to solve this. How do I know how much to take? Like, is there resources?
Yeah. So what is interesting with that is a lot of the companies that might be saying things that sound really phenomenal and sounds too good to be true, and they're pertaining to results and things, oftentimes they cannot actually make those claims, not just because it's not backed with research, but you also just cannot make claims as to certain results or to diseases or illnesses and things like that. So you have to be very careful when you do see that type of thing. It's also hard because I'd like to say, well, you want to listen to other people's feedback, but there are a lot of brands that they might have been just created last month, and there's thousands of reviews and testimonials and transformations. It's because they were created inauthentically. They're not real, but that marketing company that created all of that makes it sound really genuine and sounds really good. So it is also difficult to then go off of other people's feedback if that's what you're looking at. So I think it's important to go off of experience, specifically other people's experience that you know and you trust. So if you have a friend in the gym that says, hey, this worked wonders for me, you can believe that. An internet search, it's very difficult. So finding someone, and maybe there's someone in the industry that can help you too. I always make myself available for these things. Like, I have a lot on my plate, but I stop whatever I'm doing to answer anyone's questions, because I don't want other people to be misled or feel the way I felt, my first, especially 5 years, in the fitness world, just really feeling lost, like I had no resources to really help me, and I watched a lot of YouTube videos and followed a lot of different programs and did all these different, what I look at now as, gimmicky diets and workouts and things like that. And right now I have like a good, solid foundation of things that I know are tried and true and work. And that's what I'm sticking with. And I see it working for other people too.
So it's basically, it's kind of just trial and
Yeah.
error, just
It's trial and error. I hate to say, but that is really what it is. But even a quality product might not work as well for you as it does me. Some people love creatine monohydrate and other people hate it. So, I base I base much more of my understanding of things and what I advise to other people based off of people's experiences. I do not go off of clinical data. I will try it myself. I will have other people try it. I will go off of that feedback. Because if you're feeling it and it's working for you, the hard part is like a wellness product where it's benefiting you internally and maybe it's helping prevent things, but you're not as easily going to feel it. But with sports supplements and things where you're looking to build muscle, lose weight, have more energy, have more stamina, get a better pump for the gym, be more motivated, all these things, better sleep, I go off of people's feedback, and the products that we've formulated have been strictly taking products that I know have worked and making them better, and continuously just on that path of making. I don't really like to venture out with ingredients that I haven't seen or used before, even if the clinical data sounds wonderful. Usually it is too good to be true, and in application it doesn't really work that well, or it can't be dosed that well, or it's not affordable to dose it like that. So I've also seen things like that where there's this hot new ingredient that everybody's raving about and it's being put in all these products, but it's ineffectively dosed, or it's not actually going to translate to seeing those results. I stand back, I wait until there's actually proven people saying, hey, yes, this really did help me. And honestly, the products that were the ingredients that were the best 10 years ago are still the best today. You just have to dose it well, use a better form, formulate products well, using ingredients synergistically together that can help benefit each other is really great. I don't really take a lot of individual ingredients. I like taking complexes and formulas that they just, when you combine things, you can get a magnitude of better benefit than you can taking it individually. So that's really my philosophy with a lot of things. I mean, you could be taking thousands of supplements or vitamins. There's so many out there that have a lot of great benefits, but you have to really wind it down to what's going to benefit you the most.
Exactly. I think it's stacking is the word, where you just stack a whole bunch of things together and they work synergistically together. Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're talking a lot about too, like what they call, some folks call it an N=1 study, where it's basically you're the only subject and you're doing it on yourself to try to see what's going to happen, and see if this might work for you. Cause like you said, that every person's body works a little bit differently. So that's something different. Yeah. So, yeah. So what was it? I want to go back a little bit to kind of what you were doing earlier, what you were saying earlier about growing up. You grew up with parents as business owners. What was that like? Like, what were some of the experiences what were some of the things that helped you out the most in your business right now, having seen that happen in before?
Well, my grandfather started the bowling centers, and my dad and his brother were running them, and a family friend growing up, and they still are. Now my brothers and my cousins are stepping more into those manager roles, while my uncle are still involved.
Mhm.
But my grandfather started these centers because he enjoyed seeing people have fun and enjoy time with their families. And growing up, you know, I, as far back as I can remember, I was living in the bowling centers. And I wasn't the best bowler, so there was frustrating times, but it's a sport, and it's where you have that competitive nature, but it's also a family activity, and somewhere that people really enjoy being and spending their time with families, friends, birthday parties. I had a lot of birthday parties there growing up, and so to my family, it's not just a business. It's so much more than that. Everyone in my family bowls, they compete. I'm not as involved as the rest of my family, because I'm so involved with my business now. But it really is like a really precious thing, on what they have there, and it's much more than just business. And that's what I strive to continue building for my own business, is really a community where people enjoy coming together and learning from one another.
Community centered. I think that's a big thing, is that community
Yeah.
centered side of things. Even like you were saying earlier with the way that you run your business, and it's more of a community centered business. And I think that's something that's incredibly important. Cool. So we keep getting back to the marketing thing and the side of things. So I'm walking through the supplements aisle. I'm looking at 1,000 shiny objects. Again, best way for me to try to just block the noise.
Yeah.
I'm in that
Um,
moment. You know? Yeah.
yeah. I have this dilemma with customers in my store. And it's, you don't know what you're looking at until it's explained to you,
Mhm.
right? So I think even if you're in a store, honestly, I would not be buying my supplements from the grocery store. I would, you're looking for the best products, go to a specialty mom and pop shop. You know, the smaller brick and mortar retail stores are going to take care of you the best. The owners are likely local, and they're passionate about it. They're carrying better products. They are carrying brands that the big corporate chains do not carry. And those brands are likely putting more product into the container. The big chains, like anything, like it's much more, I wouldn't say watered down, but um, those chains are looking to make their money. So there's a lot of compromises made to the big brands. I would never put my products in a corporate chain, because I would have to compromise on everything I believe in.
Mhm.
So, but the brick and mortar retail stores, the mom and pops, they have better quality product, and they have staff that is a lot of times better educated, care more about the industry, and are there, not because they're getting the biggest paycheck, but because they want to help people. So ask them, talk to them, and not everybody knows everything, but so take what they say for granted, or with a grain of salt, but listen to them. It's probably better information than you're going to find online. And if you get lucky and you find someone that really knows what they're talking about, you will know. Try what they recommend, and if it's working for you, keep going back and keep expanding your knowledge on things and trying things for yourself. Again, I think it really comes down to experience, and the individuals working those retail stores are going to be the most experienced, because they're probably listening to the customer's feedback, and they're pushing products that they know you're going to come back for, because that's the only way they survive, right? Whereas a corporate store, they're going to have new people in there every day, and they might have certain commissions that or certain quotas that they need to push out that day. So, that's my personal belief, and what I've seen the most is, go to where, you believe you're going to be authentically really taken care of.
Well, you brought a lot of value and I really appreciate it. And I know this is an industry where there's a lot of noise, and that's where what I wanted to hone in on, why there isn't the noise, how to actually get outside of that so that way we can really do is the best we can, so I really appreciate that, Matt. And as we're winding up, I do always have one question that I want to ask everyone. Is there a book or a podcast that's had a massive impact on your life, either recently, in the past? Wide definition to what that is, but is there one thing that's really just, you're like, this book really changed my life? What do you think?
I haven't had that exact experience. I like to pick up a little bit from everything I see and I hear.
Sure.
And, it's sometimes difficult to translate words into your own practical being or your own life. But, so as you hear and listen to things and it gets more ingrained into you, you tend to follow those things more with your heart and without even realizing it. So I'm sure that I've applied a lot more things than I've realized in my own business and my own day to day than I even realized. And if I reflect more on your question, maybe an answer will eventually come to me.
I get it. But I'm one of those people too, where it's like, I pick up a little bit here, a little bit there. If you ask me where I got it from, I probably couldn't tell you. It's just kind of a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, and then just kind of make it into my own version of things. I have something that I say regularly where it's like, we're really doing something that's slightly different than everyone else. I don't think there's anything that's 100% novel anymore. We're just doing something in our own version of it. So like even with me, I create presentations for a living, and there's a lot of other people that do this. I happen to have my own version of it, and I've pulled it from a bunch of different sources and kind of put it all together, stirred it up in a pot, and made it my own. So I guess same thing with supplements. You guys do the same thing as well, right?
Yeah. Yep. I think everybody has, if you're following anyone else's path exactly, then you're not creating your own. You're not doing anything different. And I believe that when people have like these success stories and a way of doing things, and they're preaching and they're putting that information on you to follow that, I think you still have to be at the right time, the right place, doing the right thing. And it's not as easy as doing ABC and you're going to get from A to Z. And you have to find your own path in doing it. And if you're unique in doing it and passionate about doing it, I think you're going to be a lot more successful. But you still have to be at the right time, right place, doing the right thing. So that's why the more consistent you are with it and the more you're trying, the higher likelihood of success.
Very, very true, man. Very, very true. Well, Trevor, it's been awesome having you on the show today. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the wisdom you've dropped today. Thank you so much, man.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again for joining us on the Hustle and Grind podcast. If you'd like to learn more about Trevor, click on the link in the description.